Hello, everybody. Future FJ here. I just wanted to welcome you to this episode, the inaugural episode of Behind the PNG. First off, I want to thank Liz for coming on, and sorry that it took so long for me to get this edited, but it's here now, and I hope you all enjoy it. Two, OBS reset my mic settings, so my filter is off and I couldn't obviously redo the audio with her, and I didn't want to pay somebody to clean up the audio, so there is going to be a little bit of points where you hear my fat, stupid egg breathing a little bit. Hopefully it doesn't detract too much. I tried to put a little bit of royalty-free music over the video to try to detract from it, so hopefully it's not that bad. Obviously, going forward in the future, I'll make sure that OBS isn't all messed up for me. Again, thank you all for watching. Thank you, Liz, for being on. And please enjoy the episode. So, how are you, Liz? Hope you're doing well.
Thank you, thank you. I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing all right this fine Sunday evening when we're recording this because it's not live.
That is true. That is true. You are right.
I don't know why I put that in there, but yeah, hope you're doing well. Thanks for being on.
Thank you for inviting me. It's a pleasure to be here. I really like your place, your whole setup here.
Oh yeah, thank you. I have art of my cursed self. I got a fish back there.
In there, yeah, the fish that looks kind of like you.
Yeah, that's me.
Man, it's like everything in here revolves around you.
Why should it not?
I mean, it might say something about you, but you never know.
Listen, a lot of people have done stuff for me, and I want to show off what they've done for me because I appreciate it.
There you go. That's a great answer. That's a great answer.
Plus an ego.
It looks great. There you go.
So, I'm going to start off with something that a lot of people probably might not know. Like, you probably mentioned it, but, in passing. But I don't look like it, but my not this form, the normal FJ. I love animals. I've always loved animals. I have a cat, Aurora. We've always had some sort of animal in the house growing up, and I've had Aurora for like 3-4 years now. She's a little fucking asshole, but she's my little asshole. So when I was younger, I briefly wanted to go into like some sort of veterinarian field, all that good stuff. Like, be a vet, help out animals, and do rescues, all that kind of stuff. And part of this is because whenever I would go over to somebody's house, like a new person's house or a friend or family, they like have a pet or something, they'd always be like, "Oh, this dog or cat, they hate everybody. They just stay away from them." But then every time that dog or that cat or whatever would always warm up to me real quick, and they'd be like, "Wow, you got what? That ex pet never warms up to anybody, but for some reason they would always warm up to me." So I always had this like affinity towards animals, I guess, that I guess just gave up on at some point in my life. But you're a marine biologist. And see, I'm also asking this because I don't know the nitty gritty about what you've done or what you do. So I don't know if you're working on the more science side of, trying to, help out animals and all that stuff, or you're more on the hands-on side. But as a marine biologist, what led you to becoming one, and what kind of it is it that you've done?
Yeah. So to kind of wind it back, but as to why I became a marine biologist, it's actually because of my father. Because like it's so funny because how you mentioned with yourself about like how the like animals that are known to like not like anyone like you. My dad's the same way too. It's like something in our family. So I've always grown up with pets. Especially with aquatic pets as well. So my dad has always had like fish tanks and stuff. And I remember when I was like 12, I think. We went to the Bahamas for a vacation, and my dad was like, "Hey, we should take you scuba diving." And I was like, "What's
Okay.
that?" And he explained it to me. And so they kind of gave me like a beginner's course to kind of learn the kind of like, the safeties of scuba diving, and
Mm-hmm.
um just like the general, like, the rules and such. And then I got to do my first real dive.
Oh.
And as soon as I did my first dive, it was actually with a guy. His name is so funny because I remember it to this day. It was Moose.
Like
Yeah,
his
his name.
on his like driver's
Yeah,
license or
yeah,
whatever.
yeah, yeah. Like he was known as Moose,
Is
and
he from
super
Canada?
nice guy. I don't know. Like I don't know. I guess he lives in the Bahamas. That's all I know.
He can
Um,
move.
yeah, that's true. I don't know. But anyways, yeah, he was my like the guy that kept an eye on me.
Mm-hmm.
But when I
Yeah.
did my dive, I instantly fell in love with it, and I was like, Dad, I need to get into this field immediately. Like, this is so cool and awesome. And he was like, oh, well, that's called marine biology. And I was like, oh, yes, that's what I want to do. So yeah, I went to college and I studied marine biology, and I have a bachelor's degree in it that is now collecting dust, which is great. But I did, like, after graduating, I did work in the marine biology field for a little bit. I did want to work more on the science side, but I
Mm-hmm.
did do more hands-on than the actual science.
Mm-hmm.
Which I mean, to do a lot of science, you do have to be hands-on with it as well.
Oh yeah.
So my first job out of college, I worked at a facility where they breed clownfish. So I worked there for like 2 years, and then the management changed and I wasn't a big fan of it. So I was like, yeah, I'm out. Like, I don't want to be here anymore. And then I went and got a job at another place. It was a dolphin facility. And it wasn't just like their biggest thing there is you get to swim with the dolphins. So I was
Yeah.
like, oh, that's cool. But not only did they have that, they had sharks, turtles, a bunch of fish, eels, crabs, stingrays, you name it, right? They've had like over 1,000 species. And I was really interested. So I started there as like like a guest service person.
Mm-hmm.
Eventually
Mm-hmm.
wiggled my way into education, and then I became an aquarist there, where I took care of the animals. So I taught people about the turtles we had, the shark breeding program. So we had a shark breeding program for specific species of sharks. They're known as sand tiger sharks. So
Oh.
they're trying to breed them in human care in order to preserve the species, since we're killing them off. So they're trying to find another way to like help reproduce them, so that way we don't kill them all off.
So
And so it's been hands-on with that. So we've been helping with that program. So there's a lot of things that I did at that job. And then I
is that
left.
job there more like, I wouldn't say entry level, but is it more like a like, just to relate it to something in my dumb brain? Is it more like kind of like a specialized like zoo slash school almost maybe?
It's
Like, did you
not.
have people like coming in and like looking at any of this stuff, or was it more just you guys were in there doing all this for for you
Yeah.
guys and for them?
It's more for, so it's kind of a mix, I guess you could say. Like, there's a lot of people, unfortunately, that just don't care. They just
Hmm.
want to look, and that's it. Like, they just want to look for a few seconds and then they'll move on. But
Oh
there
yeah.
were a lot of people that we would talk to guest wise. We could talk to them about the animals and kind of like tell them, all the information they wanted to know, like people who are really interested in learning. So they do have kind of a mixed program in that sense for both of like for if you wanted to learn, or if you're just there to be there for whatever, like you don't really care, which that was always really depressing when you had people like that came in and they were just like, I don't fucking care. I just want to like swim with the dolphins. Like that's it. I don't care
Yeah.
about everything else.
Yeah,
So,
because you see a lot of like like videos of like people going on like especially in like Australia. I don't know why, but like they
hmm
going on those like tours of like facilities, and the person leading the tour is like actually telling them about the animals in whatever area they're in. So I was wondering if it was more akin to that than just like when you go to a
yeah.
zoo and you're like walking down the aisle almost like it's a fucking
hmm
Walmart, and you're just, oh, there's a tiger, oh, there's a, and you're
hmm
just, no, nobody's reading the the plaques or anything that are out and learning. They're just like spectacle, and then they move on.
hmm
So that's why I wanted to
Yeah.
like what distinction it was when you were working at least at that place.
In that
So
sense.
so after you left that particular job, did you
hmm
do stuff that was vastly different than doing that in just or did you just go to a similar place or something in the same vein and do the same stuff, but maybe with different animals or a different place or kind of a different style or whatever? Like what's the
Yeah.
what's what's
So,
the what's the next step there from going to this almost
mhm,
educational zoo, I guess, this
mhm.
school zoo, to next in line for somebody that wants to keep going in the field?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's always good to try out different things. So that was actually the last job I did before I hopped into streaming.
Oh, okay.
But before I did like I did an internship where I worked in the kind of the medical side of it, where
Hmm.
we it was like horseshoe crab blood. So they found out there's like an enzyme in their blood that can detect like pathogens and like the negative gram bacteria, which is what makes you sick.
Oh,
And there's like an enzyme in their copper based blood. They're actually one of the very few animals that has copper, a copper based blood, which is it's blue.
hmm.
And they found that, and then they also found that they have like an extra pouch of blood on them.
Oh,
And so it's just like emergency, like it's just emergency reserve. So
like it's
they found out
like if
a
they got
way.
like hurt or whatever and lost blood,
Yeah,
they'd be good to go just because they had
yeah,
that extra little bit in
yeah,
there.
yeah. It's like it's just like for like serious cases. But pretty much what we found out is that we can use the enzyme, but we aren't killing them.
Hmm.
So it's like donating blood in a sense. So you would like take some of the blood out of the crab, like out of that sack, and it comes back really quickly. So if anyone's wondering, they'll be fine. We
That's
get a lot of the same regulars because you have to mark them too.
I
And
like the,
usually when you mark them, uh,
that's just fun
yeah.
terminology. Oh, we got fucking Mr. Bill the Crab coming back in today for his
hmm
forced donation. Oh, he'll be
Yeah.
fine in a couple hours. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, they're good. They go out there, they live the best life that they can. And yeah, I thought that was really fascinating to like learn that like any sort of shot that you've been getting, like whether it's a vaccine, the flu shot, like whatever it is, like any shot at all that you get, you can thank a horseshoe crab for making sure that you don't get sick from that. Because we back before, COVID obviously is a different vaccine than what the usual vaccines were. But what they found out is that they use a dead version of the virus, that whatever they're trying to like prevent you from getting sick from. But if of course if they give you a live version, that's not good. And a lot of people are like, well, like the horseshoe crabs, oh no, like there's people who actually like fight against it because they think it's really cruel. But I'm just
Hmm.
like, listen, what we're doing is that at least they get to live. You want to go, if you want to get rid of horseshoe crabs, we're going to have to go back to using bunny rabbits again. Because what they did back in the day was they would actually inject the vaccines into bunnies. And if they died, they knew it wasn't good. And if they lived, they would be fine. And that's not cool to do to rabbits because they're cute and fuzzy and adorable. And, I think most people are going to prefer a bunny over a horseshoe crab. So, people are like, oh, okay, like that's fine. But like I said, it's not harmful to them. It's really fascinating, actually. the whole process and everything and how they figured it out. And horseshoe crabs are just fucking amazing animals too. I really started to appreciate horseshoe crabs the more I got to
All right,
work with
don't
them.
butter them up now after you just called them worse than rabbits. Come on now. Like,
Well, no, like
oh, well, they're no rabbits,
I
but they're
think that
pretty
okay.
cool.
Yeah, no, listen, I think personally horseshoe crabs are cooler than bunny rabbits, but most people would disagree. So,
I get
like
it.
most
It's the
people,
year of the rabbit. You're
yeah,
getting
exactly.
you're getting the points
Yeah.
in.
I've obviously gotten to do the hands-on, the educational side. I did the aquaculture side, so that was breeding the clownfish. So that's like a whole nother thing that you can do too. There's like so much aquaculture especially is going to be a big deal in the future. We're going to
Mm.
definitely need it more and more. But yeah, no, it's really fascinating. I've tried all the different kind of areas. I didn't go really towards like the super scientific area because that's really hard to get into. Like you have to have a lot of experience. And you have to go to school, back to school. And I was like, I'm not paying half a grand again, $500,000 again to fucking get a master's degree that I won't be able to pay off in the future. Like, I'm not putting myself in that kind of debt again if I don't have to. So,
American education, everybody. Best in the world, baby. Best in the world.
exactly. Oh, God.
Obviously, horseshoe crabs are obviously the coolest animals. But if you,
Hmm.
I had a note saying, what is your favorite animal that you've gotten to work with, like hands-on wise?
Ooh, oh, that's a good one.
Yeah. Let's not do horseshoe crabs. You've gushed about them too much.
Yeah, no. God, I would have. It's so hard to choose because I really loved working with. It's like a divide between two: the sharks and the sea turtles. Both of them were so much fun to handle. I've actually gotten in the water and had to wrangle and wrestle sharks and the sea turtles when they would have to get like their like health evaluations. So, but they're a lot of fun. I mean, a lot of people don't realize that turtles and sharks have such personalities, man. Like such
Everything
personalities.
everything has a personality. I mean, just because we can't
Yeah.
recognize, like, we're humans, obviously, so we're not
Mhm.
gonna pick up on, another species' personality. Just like we'll pick
Mhm.
up on a human's, but every living entity out there, like, has some sort of personality, even if we, you know,
Yeah.
don't see it like we
Mhm.
see another humans.
Yeah. Yeah. It's kind of funny because like people don't like you said, people don't realize it. And it's really kind of cute once you see it and you're like, oh, like you just gotta like look at animals a lot more closely, like no matter what animal it is, and you will see like they have personalities. Like it's very funny because like some of the sharks that I worked with, man, were those spoiled fucking sharks, man. It was like there were times where like these like you knew these sharks were well fed because they would just be like I would be trying to like force food into their mouth and they're just like, no, I don't want this. And I'm like, you're gonna eat it. It's just like they're like, no, you can't make me. And I'm like, we'll fight you. I will
See,
make sure.
that like, because I grew up on TV and stuff. I'm a little older, so like I actually like watched TV growing up. Like,
Hmm.
it seems like the dolphins would be that personality type more than a shark would be. If you're growing up
Oh,
watching TV and stuff, like
yeah,
you
yeah,
see everything about dolphins being like
yeah.
the smartest
Dolphins.
animals and being friendly with everybody.
So
So,
overrated, by the way. Dolphins are so overrated.
damn, you're
I'm not even gonna lie.
taking out rabbits, you're
I
taking out dolphins now. You're just hitting them
listen,
all.
listen. Dolphin. Okay, listen. Dolphins are cool, but man, are they also little shits and also mischievous as fuck. Like they are not like the cute, adorable animals. Like these things could literally murder you if they wanted to, and they are such little shits sometimes because they know they can pull that kind of crap on people. They're like, oh, you want me to move over here? Too fucking bad. I'm not gonna do what you wanna fucking make me do, cause fuck you. And you're like, damn it, like just listen to me. I have this tasty fish for you. My favorite was the two little boys that we had, and there was one time it was so bad, but like there was one time they were like, one of the boys was stealing the others during a program, and he got so mad he actually bit someone, and I'm like, oh my god, like it was such a bizarre moment, but I was like,
Did they lose an
don't
arm or
take your
something?
no, no,
Was
no,
it
no,
that
no,
bad
no.
with the
They were
dolphin? Okay.
no, 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 no.
Okay.
Like,
Okay.
they don't have sharp teeth like
Okay.
that. No, no, no. But it was like really concerning, you know, because you're like, oh shit, like you don't expect that. But yeah, no, like it's yeah, they can be pretty pretty wild sometimes, and especially like the funniest thing is like the area that I worked in, there was like an open edge, so like people could walk to and from to go to the photos, but it was like all open to the habitats where the dolphins were. So they'll like pop their head out looking like cute, and people would try to like reach over and pet them. And there was a time like one woman tried to reach and pet one of them, and it bit her.
Yeah.
And we're like,
It's a wild
yeah,
animal.
don't. Yeah, I'm like, it's an animal. Like,
Yeah, it don't know
fucking
you.
touch them.
You ain't
Yeah, I'm
going to
like,
pet Simba
dolphins.
in the plains. Like, come on. Like, you ain't
People
petting a
think like,
lion out there. Like, come
yeah,
on.
it's like, it's crazy. Like, people are like,
I've
oh, but
seen
like,
this in
they're so
media.
cute. Like,
Yeah, I've
how could
seen
a
them
dolphin
on.
bite me? And I'm
Yeah,
like, they're an
I've
animal.
seen Finding Nemo. You know, like
Yeah,
Bruce is great. He would
and of
never
course,
take my arm.
yeah. Exactly. It's so funny because like everyone's fucking response to what's your favorite animal is dolphin. And I'm like, why? Well, they're cute. They're so smart, which I mean, granted, they are very smart animals,
Yeah, that's
but
why they're
god
good at being dicks.
damn.
You gotta be
Yeah,
smart
but
to be a dick, or an
and then you
effective dick.
know, oh, yeah, and especially like the fact that they're as smart as a human too, they do a lot of fucked up shit behind the
It's not a high
scenes.
bar,
I mean,
honestly, for some of us.
yeah, I mean they are very similar to humans in that sense, where a lot of the bad things humans can do, they can do. So that's like the funniest fact I've learned is that dolphins when they're young, they actually do drugs. So and you're like, but there's no like drugs out in the ocean. There's no like, you know, like weed or like cocaine or anything like that. But
That's
so
what they
fun
want you to
fact,
think.
yeah, exactly. But one thing I found out is that they go and find a puffer fish and they annoy the shit out of it to puff up. And then once it does, they'll like put it gently in their mouth, and the toxins from that, they'll get enough toxins to get high. It's like,
Bro, that's just like a nitrous oxide boost. They're
yeah,
just taking a hit of the puffer fish as it deflates is like a hit of air.
yeah, puff puff pass, you know?
Holy-
It's fucking
Are
crazy.
they
Like,
are they the only aquatic life that do this? Because they're
yeah, I
smart
think
enough to, I
so.
guess.
Yeah, I think so. I'm not 100% sure, but from what my knowledge, I think that that is true. So,
Man. Right
yeah,
on, little
dolphins are
dolphins.
weird.
You do you. You chase
Dolphins are
that high. By the way, I got a message from a Ben Marvelin asking about you. You know anybody named Ben Marvelin, by the way? I don't know.
Ben Marvelin?
Yeah, Ben Marvelin. You don't know anybody?
Can you show me their profile?
Well, I can't show you, but I've been marveling at them
Oh,
tits. Every
I
time.
can't believe it.
Every time, baby.
I hate it here.
So you were a flesh tuber for a long time like me. I've been streaming for a while to limited success because of my friends, and that's mostly why I keep doing this. But I've been going since 2011 if you don't know.
Wow.
At least on Twitch. It's the first I've ever, dabbled in other avenues of anything other than streaming and stuff like that. And I was on cam all the time. I mean, actually, there was no feed. There fucking whenever Kazuna AI, that was like the first probably sniff anybody had of VTubing. She's probably not the
Mm-hmm.
first, but she's like the biggest, you know, like what,
Yeah, yeah, she's the one that really set
2018,
it going.
2018,
Mm-hmm.
2019, I don't know, somewhere around there,
Mm-hmm.
somewhere around there. That's the first sniff of it. So for long, I was just on camera doing my thing. Like I didn't think anything of
Mm-hmm.
it. So when I went over to VTubing, like I wasn't sure I wanted to do it, but everybody told me like, well, you have this stupid little mascot in the fucking side of your stream that you're always using. The thing behind you is like the OG of what that is. Like the I found it on
Oh,
4chan.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
So I would
yeah,
dress it up to according to whatever game I was doing or whatever. So like the little fucking Mario Maker hat for one of them, or
yeah.
the Yu-Gi-Oh dual
Oh.
disc for another. That's what I do. This little
Mm-hmm.
mascot. So everybody told
That's
me,
cute.
well, you're getting into this stupid VTubing thing. We don't really get it, but you're into it. And if you ever go into this, you got to make this stupid long chancy. Oh, he's admitting it, but it's definitely a long chancy that is the inspiration for all this.
Mm-hmm,
Uh,
mm-hmm.
so that's my arc of going from a real streamer to it. What was your arc of finding? I assume it was Twitch. You probably don't even know JTV exists unless
I
you know
did
it. Well,
actually, yeah.
oh, you did? Okay. See,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
I'm not giving you enough credit. But most people are
mm-hmm.
like, "What the hell is JTV?" And JTV TLDR. It was a site that basically Twitch without rules. It's probably
Yep,
the easiest
yep.
way to. Me and if you know my co-host from Spilling the Eggs and many other things, Reaper S&W, we met on there. Uh, we probably knew each other from at least 2008 onward, but we didn't really meet till like 2012ish because we would
Mm-hmm.
always watch the 24/7 pro wrestling streams that were all over. Because back then there was like if there was a TV show out there. There was a
Mm-hmm.
24/7 stream on JTV of them rolling the episodes of that TV show. It
Mm-hmm.
was it was honestly
Yeah.
awesome. It's one of those nostalgia things that I miss, and it's like if a company would do that, you know, and like, hey, $5 you can have access to this, you know, fucking site, and you can watch whatever you want that's going on in a loop with a bunch of people. People would do it. You know why? Because
Yep.
I watched wrestling with. At one point, they were just going through all the WWE pay-per-views at the time, and
Oh shit.
yeah, they were just playing them. It's fucking yeah.
Oh,
And at
yeah, it
some
was the
point,
Wild West.
yeah, at some
That's
point,
true.
like
Yeah.
they were going through like it was like I don't know, like the late 2000s, and there was like a string
Mm-hmm.
of three really good pay-per-views, and we were all just sitting in there. There were like they were like really good pay-per-views. There were like 2,000 of us in there,
Mm-hmm.
just spamming the fucking chat to fucking wrestling matches that were really fucking good. And it's like that's I don't know. That's how I got into or wanted to stream because I was like, well, I could even if the chat's slow, like there's somebody there watching because I wasn't always typing in the chat. Or if people are in chat being hyped, they can spam and have fun. So that's why I
Mm-hmm.
got into streaming and all that stuff. But what led you to what I assume is Twitch and wanting to stream in the first place yourself?
Yeah, yeah. Well, of course, like I actually never had an account until when Twitch was created. But I did
Hmm.
watch just like when it was, JTV back in the
Hmm.
day. I used to watch a lot of like uh games, like they would have like a lot of like stuff on there. They would have like
Oh yeah,
streams for that and all that.
they had like it
So,
was like a weird like split because
mhm,
there's like an obvious like you knew people in the gaming section if you watched the gaming
mhm,
section, and then if you
mhm,
watched the
mhm,
entertainment or the IRL section you knew people in there. So
mhm,
sometimes if you went over to another stream and then like saw somebody that was from the gaming, because I think the gaming side was a little more connected when you talk to people.
mhm.
So you'd see somebody over there, you'd be like, "Hey, you know the
Yeah,
fucking Leo
hey.
meme, you know?" He's like, "You," like I know you. So it was almost like a little city,
Oh
like a
yeah,
small
yeah,
town,
yeah, yeah,
you
yep,
know?
yep,
Yeah.
yep,
So
yep,
you'd be like,
yep.
"Oh, hey, what up, dog?" And you're like, "Ah, you over here too?"
Hey.
You know, like that kind of stuff. So that's really what I liked about
Yeah,
JTV. But yeah, go on, go
it
on.
was. Yeah, no, it was such a like cute little knit community to watch. But I made an account in 2017, I believe. I was in college and I did it because there was like a game at the time. It was like Rag and Rock 2 online, and
Oh,
I was
Ragnarok or
into
whatever.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a fun, like it's a fun game with friends and all that. Because it's such a classic. But anyways, so they were doing like they were doing something, and I decided to make an account because I wanted to like chat at the time, because you couldn't chat if you
Oh
didn't
yeah.
have an account.
Oh yeah.
So I made an account, and of course it was like a cringy name of some like this game that I used to play, because I
What
was a
was it?
weird. It was
Leak it.
okay. So
I'll tell you mine. Everybody knows mine, but I'll tell you mine.
I'm gonna show how fucking cringe I was. There's a game, because I was a very single lady, and I used to play the mobile games with like where you like go on the dates with the guys. Like I used to play those kinds of games.
Okay.
And I named it after, so there's this, it's one called is it Candy Love, I think is what it's called. And I named it after my favorite guy. It was like Lysander, I think. It was like XX Lysander XX.
Well, that's a 360 gamer tag right there. You're going on
Yeah.
COD. You're gonna be swearing to
Dude.
kids.
Yeah. Oh, it was so cringe. And so so like there was like like they were giving away free stuff. Like, so what they were doing, they were like, oh, give us your most like, you know, cringiest joke, and I gave like some fish one or something, because I was studying marine biology.
Yeah.
I was like a
Oh, yeah.
freshman at this time, just starting to get out of that like awkward shy phase of my life, and trying to become something different,
And to break out of the shell.
become who I am today. I was not happy with how I was in high school, and I was like, well, here's a brand new start, new people, new friends, everything. And so so yeah, I won, and they gave me some stuff, and I was like, oh, cool. So like I just used it for that, right? And then 2020 was when COVID hit, right? At the very beginning, that's when everything got shut down.
Oh yeah.
So when everything got shut down, I obviously was out of a job, because they were like, well, you have to like entertain guests, but because we can't allow guests into our park, you're out of a job for right now, right? So I was furloughed. So I was like, shit, okay, I'm out of a job. So I was like, okay, like what I can just do right now is just like, you know, have fun, whatever, like hang out. And then I think like in like March, it was like March, right? I had one of my girlfriends. Her name is Killer Kitty Cat. She's a great friend of mine. Love her to death. And she actually was the one who introduced me. She was like, "Hey," she's like, "why don't you start streaming?" And I was like, "Well, I'm not entertaining. I'm not funny. I don't have the equipment for it." At the time, I had a gaming laptop, right? And she was like, no, like you should totally, you should totally do it. It's fun, blah, blah, blah. She convinced me to do it. And I was like, fine, I'll stream. So I'm like, okay, well, I know I have an account. And then I like forgot the name of the account. And I was like, what was the name of my Twitch account? And then once I figured it out, I was like, oh, that's cringy. All right, we're going to change it. And then I was like, what am I going to change it to? And then I was like, oh, my Xbox name, which was Lisjustice. But Lisjustice was also cringe, because the real meaning behind it was actually L is justice, because 13-year-old me had a huge crush on L when I was watching Death Note, and I was very sad when that halfway through the season, if you know what I'm talking about, if you
About
know,
to
you know.
Death Note for you right now.
Yeah, no, I'm just gonna say, if you know, you know. And of course, me as like 13, I was like, L is justice, like, and then everyone kept calling me Liz Justice, and I was like, no, that's not it, it's L is justice. And then eventually I gave up, and then I was like, you know what, L is justice is actually kind of cool, or Liz Justice is actually cool.
Freudian slip right there.
trying
to convince yourself maybe it is still cool. Anime's in now, I can bring it back.
No, but yeah, I was like, Lisjustice is a great, like, I like that, you know, it just really, like, everyone calls me that. And I was like, okay, we're gonna use that. And then of course, like, I didn't know what VTubing was then. I didn't even, like, I'm mostly uncultured, like, I don't know most of the people, like, I still don't know a lot even though I'm, a content creator, everyone's like, how do you not know this person? I'm like, I fucking
There's
know.
like
Like,
8 billion of them now.
yeah, I know.
That's
And
why I don't know everybody.
exactly. So, but yeah, so I started as uh, a streamer, like a streamer that showed my face. And then while I was doing
Disgusting.
that, I started, yeah, I know, right? And
Not
then,
your face, just the concept. I'm just gonna move on.
I
Go
mean,
ahead.
my face too,
Don't do this. Don't. God damn it.
But anyways, so eventually I stumbled upon VTubing and I was like, wait, I don't have to show my face on camera. Like, yo, I don't have to like dress up. I don't have to wear makeup. I don't have to do any of that. I can just like wear whatever I want or not and go on. So I started getting into it. I started watching it and then I was like, how do you start? Like, where do you start? And I saw PNGs were a thing. And at the time, I met a really good friend of mine, Stitches the Clown. And he actually had a friend who is my artist, actually, Uber. And I met him. And I was like, I saw one of his PNGs. It was another friend of mine who was using his own version of the PNG. And I was like, oh my God, that's so cute. Like, I would love one, blah, blah, blah. And he was like, sure. So he made me one. And I became a PNG. But then I also wanted to dabble into like the VTubing, like the 2D, 3D space. So believe it or not, I used for a little bit of time, I used a Ganyu model from Genshin Impact.
Disgusting.
Because I was like, this is free. And also Ganyu's kind of cool. So we're going to use her. And yeah, it was yeah, it was pretty
you
bad.
heard her. You heard her. Royalties.
Listen, I didn't realize at
Royalties.
the time. All right, I didn't know about that. But then
How do you think I've so drastically changed up what a Chansey looks like? like
exactly.
people are like, oh, that's a chance. Yeah, sure, because that's inspiration. But like
Inspiration,
if you showed somebody like that didn't know Pokemon this, they'd be like, oh, it looks like a Pokemon, but it's probably not a Pokemon or anything like that. That's why I have the long ass fucking legs. Like that's why I have the fucked up arm. That's why the egg is crit. That's why I have long hair. Like
why you have tired bags under your
bags
eyes.
under my eyes, like all and a live egg. Fucking Chansey doesn't have an live egg. Get at me, Nintendo. What are you gonna do?
Yeah, exactly.
This is creative.
Yeah.
This is creative now. This is
Exactly.
creative space. This ain't your IP anymore.
Yeah. But yeah, it was like I realized it. I was like, oh, this is so cool. I can like do this. But then I was like, what do I want my model to look like? And right before I started streaming, I actually got a Christmas gift from my boyfriend's mother. And she gave me a narwhal onesie. And I was like, why don't I just make myself in a narwhal onesie and just call it a day? Like, I'm still me, and, like, it's just me as PNG, and then I don't actually have to dress up or anything. So I started doing that. And then I dabbled more into the VTubing rabbit hole, and yeah.
So you're hitting my questions before I get to them, right?
I'm so bad about that.
Like you've blown past the I was gonna follow. So what led? So I was gonna ask what led you to just full on going to VTubing instead of just staying on camera. You're like, obviously I can be naked and not put on makeup, so that we covered that. So before you just blow past the whole narwhal thing, what was why a narwhal specifically? If it wasn't because of this onesie or whatever, this plushie or whatever, I wasn't listening. I'm sorry. You said onesie or plushie. I forget which one, and you said it 3 seconds.
A onesie.
So if it wasn't because of that, why is it not like a horseshoe crab or something? Since you love horseshoe crabs, why aren't you based off of that? Or was it like, oh, narwhals, that makes sense. They're like they're a real animal, obviously, but they're also on the more.
Are you saying horseshoe crabs aren't?
No, but I'm saying like narwhals are like often like they're like almost mythical, you know? Even though they're
Mhm.
real, they're
Mhm.
like, oh, it's got a big horn. It must be like a fucking unicorn or some shit. And it's
Yeah.
like, oh, mythical things are very anime. We can turn this into an
Mhm.
anime thing, you know? If it was something like
Mhm.
that, you know? So I was gonna go into a why a
Mhm.
narwhal, like. And if you weren't a
Yeah.
narwhal, what would you pick to be if you couldn't be a narwhal?
Mm.
Like, if the onesie didn't fall into your
Mhm.
lap, as it will, did you have any ideas of what you wanted to be?
Actually, yeah, that's a great question. The onesie really kind of like made me like be like narwhal, and then I kind of thought about it because at that time I kind of knew a lot of YouTubers,
Hmm.
like, or I knew about them, and I was like, there's a lot of like sharks and dolphins and like all the like sea turtle, like all those are like the typical like animal people are gonna be, right?
Cat boy.
Fish, like anything, yeah. And I'm like, you don't see, yeah, exactly. And it's like you don't see many narwhal VTubers. They are out there. I've met like
Much like
two or
narwhals,
three.
they're out there.
Yeah, they're out there. And but they're not as common, and it really gets people interested too. And also like I didn't know much about narwhals in general, and then when I started researching them, I was like, "Oh my god, these animals are fucking cool as shit." Like I was really impressed with them. Um like really impressed with them, and I was like, "You know what? I'm just going to do this." Like it's me in a onesie. It's still kind of like me as a person because I'm like, I'll just wear the onesie on camera if I show my face. Uh, and so that's kind of like how I want to portray myself, is like not breaking the immersion, I guess, is like, oh, look, it's me, just me in a narwhal onesie. Like,
Hmm.
wow, it's the same. And yeah, that's kind of how that came to be. Now, what would I have been
Yeah,
if
what
it
would you have
wasn't a
been? Yeah, what
narwhal?
was your mindset? Because for
Ooh,
like I said
that's.
for me,
Mm,
I didn't want to be some fucking just anime boy with like big pecs and
mm-hmm.
abs and cat boy or
Mm-hmm.
whatever. So when somebody suggested just be the stupid long chancy, like ain't no fucking buddy out there looks like me. Like
Mm-hmm.
ain't nothing look like this fucking creature right here. So I'm like, ah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
That's me. I don't give a shit. I can make it work and you know be my aloof self in this form. So I'm like, yeah, that's better than
Mm-hmm.
being Catboy number 498, you know, or something like
Mm-hmm.
that. But for you, you probably had a little more thought to go into it, maybe than than it falling into my lap. Before it fell
Not
into your lap, obviously too.
not really actually. It was kind of just like, oh, narwhal onesie. I'll just do that.
Yeah, but
Like I didn't
before
really
that,
think of
like
much.
no, but before that, like were you like you probably had a lot of options in your
Oh,
mind, like
um,
thinking, you probably wanted to do something aquatic. I'm sure, right, with the marine
yeah,
biology.
yeah, yeah. Well, I didn't really. So by the time I really kind of learned like VTubers, it was like at that point I'd never really thought of it until like after I got the onesie. And then I like that, like I didn't really think of anything else other than the narwhal. Maybe I would have been like, I don't fucking know, like a clownfish or something. I don't know. Like I don't remember if I thought of anything. I just was like, just put me in a narwhal onesie. Like I wasn't even thinking of being like a VTuber, like a cat boy or anything. I was
Yeah,
just like,
yeah.
just put a human in a onesie, and
Huh?
that's it. Like I didn't really put
So,
much thought
so
into
are
it,
you
like at all.
are you saying right now you're not an actual narwhal?
Listen, listen.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna break the immersion, but do
Okay.
you see this right here? My tail.
Oh
There,
yeah, it's
I have
down there.
this
Yeah, yeah,
tail.
yeah. It's
Yeah,
flopping a little
yeah,
bit. Yeah, I see it down
yeah,
there.
yeah.
Yeah.
I am a narwhal. I'm
Okay.
part narwhal.
Okay.
I was a narwhal. Do you
Okay.
not see like all that? Yeah, I am. But yeah, no, back in the, I didn't originally think I was. I thought I was a human in a narwhal onesie, but turns out I was actually a narwhal queen all along without realizing it.
So, do you think this is because, like me, you started off on cam, or do you think that if you had not started off on cam at all and you just went into VTubing, that you would break immersion as much as you do?
Oh, that's a great question. Honestly, probably would not have a break in immersion as much, just because for me it would have been more of a safety thing.
Yeah.
Because I want to like I want to also keep myself kind of like safe, because if people know what my face is, but like eventually people are gonna find out that stuff too.
Oh yeah.
Um, like I want to go and meet all my friends and all that. So that's also why I put my face out there too, because one of the things about me is I have okay self-confidence, but I'm not super confident in my looks.
Hmm.
Because when I was a child, I always got bashed down about how I looked and everything. And of course, like, one of the things I suffered a lot was bullying. Obviously, that was a big thing. And then of course, I had a family member who would always pick out something about me, like, like would talk about, like, there was one time I remember vividly, they mentioned how I looked like I gained weight, like I was getting fat. And if you've seen me, I'm fucking skinny as a rail. That's just how I was built. But
Hmm.
it was kind of like, it really hit me. And I was like, am I fat? Am I like, do I have like, am I seeing myself? Like, am I imagining myself as skinny and I'm actually really fat or something? So I had to like go and like ask people, like I had to ask my boyfriend. I was like, yo, am I like, do you think I'm fat? And he was like, no. Um, but it was like those kinds of comments where they would bash me down. It really, really broke my self-esteem.
Hmm.
And that's been since high school, and I've been slowly trying to build it up. And I thought maybe, because I know how brutal the internet can be, so
Oh.
I was like, I'm gonna throw my face out there, and whatever's, like, to see, do they agree with me, like, am I a potato, or am I, or do they think I'm actually, really attractive or whatever. Like, it was for me just to kind of like see, I guess, like what others would think. And it was kind of a way for me too to kind of like try to boost my self-confidence, in a sense, being like, no, your friends, like when your friends tell you this, like they're telling you the truth. So it was kind of for me a self-confidence issue, more than just like, oh, my face is already out there. It was more for me like putting a challenge on myself to really build my self-confidence. I don't think it's a good way to do that, because obviously the internet can be really fucking mean too. Um, but like I highly suggest don't ever doing that. But I just personally was just like wanting to, like, because if everyone was telling me, no, you're very pretty, you're attractive, like you need to give your more you need to like give yourself more credit than what you are, I kind of wanted to validate them and see if what they were saying is true. So it's in my head, because I'm fighting my inner demons, which your inner demon, the worst demon of all, is yourself. So it was kind of a way to fight me versus me, to prove my other side, that the one that was like, you're ugly, nobody loves you, like that kind of thoughts. It was kind of the verse that, right? And to tell that, if I'm like, well, if my friends are saying this, like I believe in them and I want to validate that answer. So it was kind of a way to help, slowly start building that self-confidence, and realizing like what my friends are saying is absolutely true. And that's kind of given me more confidence in myself, and just putting yourself out of your comfort zone a little bit. So that's kind of how that's kind of why I throw my face out there. But like, if I didn't show my face originally, I probably would have never shown my face. But who knows? I could have been like corpse husband.
I don't think you have a deep enough voice for that.
Hey,
I, I,
choke me like you hate me.
so you're
I
so
caught
you
you off guard.
so So you're basically trying to work through your own inner demons and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
That's why you're even doing stuff on camera at all in the first place. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't say it's a bad thing to do. I would say, I like you said, because
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it is the internet, I guess. I mean, but also
Mm-hmm.
like, if you're gonna put yourself out there, you might as well do it. I
Yeah,
think in
yeah.
every avenue that you can, and I think even though the internet can be brutal, I think
Mm-hmm.
even if a person, no matter how they look, if a person has that personality or whatever it is,
Mm-hmm.
that good-hearted nature, like doesn't matter what they look like. I know this
Exactly.
is the thing that everybody says they're like, oh, it doesn't matter if you're ugly or pretty, it's about what's
Mm-hmm.
inside. But like
But it's
when it
true.
comes to the internet and stuff, it's not about what's inside. Like sometimes,
Mm-hmm.
like there are a lot of people out there that you know don't know you don't know me, the whole parasocial thing. You don't know me. I don't know everybody that like, well, maybe it's a little different for me. I'm a smaller streamer. So I know a lot of the
Mm-hmm.
people that do come into my chat. But also I recognize that I'm not going to go into every chat and streamer knows me, or anything
Mm-hmm.
like that. But I do think that putting yourself out there, whether it be VTubing or on camera or however it is, can, like you said, boost your self esteem. Because even if you're
Mm-hmm.
not on face cam or whatever, like I'm still on camera right now. Like my tracking's kind of wonky, it's not the best all the time, but this is like me on camera. I never
Mm-hmm.
liked I never liked being fully on face cam too. Like I'm a dude. Like, oh, dudes don't care how they look. I hate my teeth.
Mm-hmm.
When I was growing up, we never really had too much extra money, so I never got to go to the dentist. So my teeth are a little crooked and stuff. But I've
Mm-hmm.
tried to keep them as clean and whatever throughout the years as possible. But
Mm-hmm.
they're crooked and stuff. So whenever I was live or used to be live all the time, I would not smile as much. Even if I was
Mm-hmm.
having fun or laughing or whatever. Like I would laugh. Like if I'm really laughing, I'm not gonna like stifle it. But I wouldn't smile a lot and stuff because I don't like my teeth and stuff like that.
I feel
But
that.
but for me right now, like I can just because my fucking I have teeth that aren't fucking British, for lack of a better
Mm-hmm.
thing. So I can laugh like this and like smile, and it's like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
I'm smiling because I fucking like I don't have to like cover my mouth or anything like that because
Mm-hmm.
I'm
Mm-hmm.
not on there. So putting yourself out there on the internet, like I don't know, like you said, is
It's
definitely
nerve wracking.
definitely a grenade. Not like a grenade. Is it gonna explode
Mm-hmm.
before I throw it? Type deal. You know.
Mm-hmm.
But also, I think whatever way you put yourself out there, it's not a bad thing because I know
Mm-hmm.
plenty of people, even the VTubing community, that started off as one thing and rebranded, or even went from IRL to VTuber or VTuber to an
Mm-hmm.
IRL streamer because they figured, oh, VTubing isn't for me, but I still like streaming, so they
Mm-hmm.
went over to the quote IRL side of it and vice versa.
Mm-hmm.
So just I don't know, putting yourself out there is a good way to just test the waters, so to speak. Even if
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, even if fucking Timmy 999X36 comes in and calls you fucking ugly, like,
Mm-hmm.
well, at least you got Timmy 9996 coming into your chat, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's how I would look at it.
Yeah.
But
But
I also get
unfortunately,
I also
yeah.
get if Timmy 99X69 came in and called somebody who might not be as emotionally disconnected as I am, it could actually hurt them as well. The other side of the
Yeah.
coin.
Something I think a lot of streamers need to learn, or content creators in general, because man, does this industry, holy moly, it affects mental health like fucking crazy. It's amazing how mentally draining it can be sometimes. Like, even for me, I'm not afraid to step back and take a few days off. I'm like, no, I'm not in the mood for this. And the
Mm-hmm.
amount of like people I know that are like, I'm sad, I'm going to stream. And I'm like, that's a bad idea. And it makes it worse for them. And I'm like,
Oh
you
yeah,
shouldn't have. done that. Like, take time. Self-care is so important. Please take care of yourselves.
It's just the nature
It,
of the beast. I think people have been trained
mm-hmm,
that you always got to be. I don't know. Maybe it's like a younger generation thing with like all of the
mm-hmm,
TikToks, like the big TikTokers and YouTubers over the last like
mm-hmm,
4 or 5 years, constantly pumping out content. I think it kind of
mm-hmm.
just became almost a norm that shouldn't be a norm, where you always have to be doing something, like live, not just like behind the scenes doing stuff. Because for the last week and a half, I wasn't live all that much. Like the last 2 days was the first time I had been live in like a week and a half. I'm pretty sure, and just because
Mm-hmm.
work life, I didn't have the time, so I didn't do it. But I'm like you, like I'm not afraid to take a little bit off. I'm not if I'm too tired, I'm not gonna force myself to go live. If anybody came in, they would notice how I'm acting. That I would be, like anything I'd be doing would be less lackluster than it already is.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
mean,
yeah.
like that it already is, and stuff like that. So it's like it's not worth it for me to push myself, my body, anything like that. Just take the time that you need. So I agree with you on that 100%. But I think like the Jake Pauls and shit of the world that are constantly just or were, I don't know who the new
Yeah.
hot, but the Paul brothers, they were putting out videos fucking left and right. They were it seemed like they had a
Yeah.
video like 2 or 3 videos out a day. And I think it
Yeah,
sort
yeah,
of
yeah.
it sort of permeated to be like, oh, if you're not live doing something, you're
Mm-hmm.
missing out. You're
Yep,
fucking
yep.
up. You're not
That's
live,
everybody.
And it's
Yep.
like, well, I don't know. Like, I think if you're my take is my take is your take. Take the time when you need to take the time. There's no reason
Mm-hmm,
for you
mm-hmm,
to run yourself ragged, because if you run yourself
mm-hmm.
ragged and then burn out, you're just going to take time off anyway. And it's probably
Yep,
going to be for a longer time than if you just taken the weekend off or whatever.
exactly.
Well, Fwends, how'd you meet, and do you think you were more inclined to do stuff with Evan not being a VTuber because you
Mm-hmm,
were, you were a normal streamer beforehand, and you think that's why
mm-hmm.
partially you were like, oh, I can do this. We can do the whole, we can do the whole
Yeah.
VTuber X real life thing with your
Mm-hmm.
Fwends podcast. See, I said it. Are you happy? I said Fwends.
You said Fwends.
Yeah,
I'm
I
so
said Fwends.
happy. Yeah, it's Fwends, guys.
So
It's
so how
Fwends,
how
not
how
friends.
so how'd
Fwends.
you end up meeting Evan and Usagi, and how did this all
Mm-hmm.
work out, and all that good
Yeah.
stuff?
So great question. So way back, we're gonna wind this back right before I started streaming and all that.
Hmm.
As I mentioned, like VTubers were a thing, and there's this one particular VTuber. I really started watching, especially 2021 to 2020 or 2020 to 2021, and he goes by the name of Noxtaku,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
A lot of people know him in the
Yep.
VTubing community. But one of the things, I really liked his content. I'm like, oh, this guy is really, really funny. But not only that, I saw that he did some stuff with Evan. And that's how I got to learn about Evan. And I was like, oh, this
Hmm.
guy's really funny. Like,
Yep.
he's hilarious. Even though, he's not a VTuber, like, I still respect, I'm friends with so many IRL streamers and all that. Like, I don't care if you're a VTuber or not. Like, if you're a cool person, you're a cool person. And so I followed him on YouTube. I watched all of his videos. And of course, at this time, it was like 2021. I discovered he had a Twitch. I was like, oh, I'll follow his Twitch and,
Hmm.
watch him there. And, I watched him and, he seemed really nice. Like, he's very interactive with this community and all that. And of course, I wasn't the model yet. I was still a PNG. And it was actually, so last year, or no, no, 2021. I keep
Hmm.
forgetting it's 2023 now. 2021.
2 years
The
ago.
month of December was not the best month for me. It was probably the worst month that I went through because I was babysitting a neighbor that I used to live next to. I babysat his cats for 3 years, and there was one that was like 17 years old. And
Hmm.
unfortunately, he got put down because he became blind and couldn't find his way around. So that was really heartbreaking, right? That was the
Yeah.
first
Oh yeah.
heartbreak for me. and I was pretty sad. But I was gonna. It was like a Friday or something, and Evan was hosting a drip competition.
Mm-hmm.
So in case you don't know what drip means, it means like the coolest outfit or whatever. I'm not saying like you personally. I know you, but just to
Yeah,
anyone out there that might not know what it means. Um
let me explain it
so
for you.
yeah, let me mansplain it for you. But anyways, so I was like, oh, cool. And it was for like his fans, like any viewers wanted to enter. And I was like, you know what? I'll enter it, right? But I was like, what am I going to enter? So I entered like one that was kind of just like, nothing crazy. It was like a cute outfit. I was like, oh, this is cute. And of course, I scribble out my face because I'm like, I don't want my face out there. Oh, because
Yeah.
I'm like trying to not like show my face too often.
Yeah.
But then I remembered I had the narwhal onesie, and I'm like, you know what, for shits and giggles and just like meme, because I was really sad. I was like, I'm just gonna throw this in here, right? For
Mm-hmm.
like jokes, right? So they go through the first one, it gets like an 8 out of 10, which is really good. I'm like, damn, okay, okay. The photo of the narwhal onesie comes up, and of course this was like a funny fucking photo of me like when I first got it. So it's like wrinkly, and like I'm taking it in the bathroom. I'm doing like one of those bathroom shoots. Like I made it clear
Oh
like as
yeah.
day I was in the bathroom. I took the photo and I thought it was hilarious, and I was like, okay, this is gonna like, just a funny, like maybe it might win the first round, and then like after that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Immediately as he pops it up on screen, all of chat starts voting 10 to 10 to 10 to 10 to 10. Like there's like maybe a few that are like 8, maybe a 1-5 or
Yeah.
stuff, but like everyone voted 10. And I was just like, oh, this is hilarious. Like I'm laughing because Evan's like, are you kidding me? She's just in a narwhal onesie. You guys are voting a 10. And so they voted, it got through. I'm like, okay, there's no way it's gonna like pass the second round, right? Then it comes again. They have the photos. It gets a
Yeah.
strong 10, right? And I'm like, shit, I made it into the final round. Like that was the semifinals. It's the final round. There's 5 people that have made it in, right? And I'm up against one of the people that eventually would become one of my really good friends, Zaikeki.
Mm-hmm.
That man wears the most insane, coolest outfits I've ever seen. Like that man is sweating with drip, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like literally just wearing the most amazing outfits ever. I'm up against him, and I'm like, there's no fucking way me in a narwhal onesie, a wrinkly narwhal onesie, is gonna win. And all of a sudden, the score starts to go. It's mine is by a landslide, and Zaikeki's coming up. He's getting close, but he's still like far enough away. Like I'm beating him by a landslide. The rest of the people, it was just me and him at this point. I won it. I won that competition. And Evan was like, fucking goddamn it. And like, he had to give me VIP and everything. And it was so funny, right? Because the winner was gonna get VIP. And I was like, oh, cool. And then he went to my Twitch page and he saw I was a VTuber. And he was like, I fucking hate VTubers. We let a VTuber win. God fucking damn it. And so that was like when he first noticed me. And then the fateful day of when Usagi was like asked to like join, and Evan didn't know Usagi at the time either. Like she was just some random person, and I was actually that's when I showed off the model you see here now. I showed it off because I posted it on one of Nux's tweets because he was following like VTubers, and I'm like, I'm just gonna shoot my shot, right?
Yeah.
And he said, oh my god, is this your model? And I said, yes. And so he instantly followed me on Twitter, and I was like, what? And I was like, holy crap, like, dude, this is so cool.
Yeah.
And then the next day is actually when Usagi was gonna join, and then I popped in his chat and he said, Liz, I would love to have you on with your model. Can you do that? And I said, sure. So I set up my model, and of course, that's when the three of us met, and it instantly was a hit off. Like,
Mm-hmm.
we acted like we've been friends for years. Like, it was the funniest stream he's had, and everyone loved it so much. So we were like, and after that stream, Evan was like, "You guys are goated. We need to do this so like again for next
Mm-hmm.
week." And then it kind of just became this thing we did once a week. And then Evan was like, "We should make a podcast," and we were like, "Sure."
So how long did it take you three to actually like turn it into friends with benefits, which now is
Yeah,
Fwends?
Fwends.
How long after that initial fateful encounter, if you will, did it take to be like oh, we're gonna do this weekly and call it this and do this with it?
I think about 3 months. Because Evan realized like it was working out for like after. So they say like podcasts, like usually if they'll be successful or not. It's like if you don't do it after like 12 episodes or something, you're like 12 is kind of like the make it or break it, I guess, where like people will like either stop or continue.
Oh, yeah.
And we were beyond that point. Like we were doing it every week, and Evan was like, why don't we just make this official? Like we do this every week, we might as well make this official. And me and Usagi were like, yeah, I'm down for it. Yeah, this is good, I can do that. Yeah. So yeah, and that's kind of how we came up with the name, because we thought it was so funny. And then we had to change it because now we have some people whose managers do not approve of a very unsay-so name, so we have to kind of make it somewhat say-so for them to be able to come on. So
Oh, balls.
yeah,
Oh,
but
balls.
man, has it been a huge success for us?
Oh,
Like
yeah.
dude, it's awesome.
So seeing
It's
like
such a cool
I'm
thing.
not gonna lie, I'm not the diehard fan that's watched all of them, but I've seen a few, and y'all like as somebody who I like you said earlier. I don't know if this was during a question we were talking, or just like we were talking. You were like, I don't know everybody. I don't know every fucking VTuber out there, but like y'all have had some like big name like VTubers come and chat with you, and that's really really cool. That's like the goal. Like now, the goal. Okay, the goal shouldn't be big. Get big. Like that's never the goal. It's never my goal.
Yeah.
The goal is to have fun. If it comes, it comes. In this quote industry, it's luck. It's like as much as people want to tell you otherwise, I'm here to tell you. First off, 28 years old. Second off, luck. You can work as hard as you can, like, and not see it. And then somebody else could be, rebranding and blow up in a month. It's just about what hits at the right time and all the circumstances that go around that. But that being said, getting to have cool people, like I know Nux was on at one point, like
he was
huge. Like you mentioned him earlier, he has no idea I exist. I'm stupid. I'm dumb, but. I don't know. I've said this before a lot. He's one of the he does stuff with IRL people all the time, and he's a VTuber. He's always had that his talking head was always animated and all that stuff. All that stuff, and he's one of the reasons when I went into VTubing, when I did my first tournament last year, because I do a bunch of fucking dumb tournaments. I was like, I'm not doing this whole it's just going to be VTubers. That when I do anything I do, whether it's my talk show, my game show, any tournament I do, whether you're a VTuber, whether you're an IRL streamer, you don't even have to be a content creator. I've had people who don't even stream come on and just want to vibe and have fun. Like part of the reason I do that is because, one, I used to be an IRL streamer. Like, I feel like if I had just be like, well, I don't need you anymore. I don't need you people anymore. Part of it's that, but also part of it's like, I saw him do it, and I'm like, that makes sense. Don't exclude people just because they're a VTuber or not a VTuber. That's dumb. You do the stuff you want to do with who you want to do it with. No matter
Yeah.
what medium they're in. But he's one of the reasons why when I was doing my first few tournaments and stuff, it was like, I'm not just going to limit this to VTubers or anything like that. I'm going to invite, everybody that I know, whether they are VTubers or not. So, and it's his
Yeah.
content,
Yeah.
because a lot of VTubers at the time, and still do, as you probably know,
Mm-hmm.
very, very, very much only stick with other VTubers.
Yeah.
it's a very weird thing where like like VTubers are like, we've made VTubing, we've done this, nobody else gets in, nobody,
Gatekeeping.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly, like you don't
Mm-hmm.
get in. You're not a VTuber, no, you're cool but
Yeah.
no. And I'm like, no,
Yeah.
this isn't a VTubing thing,
Mm-hmm.
this is a streaming slash content thing. That's how I've
Yeah.
always seen it. I see
Mm-hmm.
VTubing as like an offshoot of
Mm-hmm.
streaming. So it's not, when you say, oh, a VTuber does this, when I word it, it's like, no, not a VTuber, a streamer or a
Mm-hmm.
creator does this. Not
Content
because,
creator.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Because damn sure all the stuff that a VTuber can go through, I've gone through as a content creator too. Like,
Mm-hmm.
and vice versa. Anything that, like, it's not mutually exclusive that one's using a webcam and one's using a webcam with an avatar.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So that's why
It's
when I do
true.
this stuff, I always, whenever I do dumb posts, I always make sure to not use words that just be like, oh, it's just IRL, or oh, it's just
Mm-hmm.
VTubers. It's like, no, it's the overarching of everybody, because whether you want to think it or not, a VTuber is a streamer at the end of the day as well.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's kind of why I love our podcast too. Is well, right now most of our like all of our guests so far have been YouTubers, but
Mm-hmm.
we do want to bring like IRL people too. We have like a lot of people on the list. It's just it's a little bit harder to like obviously like some of them have to like drive over or fly over or anything to like be able to be interviewed.
Mm-hmm.
But it is cool to have kind of the IRL and the VTubing space. Like I love the fact that he makes it look like we're like in his room with
Oh
him
yeah, yeah, that's a
and
good
he's
touch.
kind of like talking to us and we're looking kind of like at him.
Oh yeah.
I think it's great and I'm so excited to when we get like our first IRL streamer on the
Mm-hmm.
couch because that will be so cool. But that is one of the things I think I like about it is we're trying not to be exclusive just to VTubers.
Oh
We
yeah.
want anybody who has shown like really cool, like like just something really cool that we want them to be proud of or to like show off or anyone who's really excited to sit on the couch with us. Like that's what we're here for. We don't care what you are, who you are, as long as you have something that is really cool to share to the world. Like that's all we're looking for. And it's been really cool. Like I mean, we've had like big names just like come out and be like, "Hey, I'm interested in doing like being on your podcast." And we're like, "Oh, like that's like with
Why?
Knox, I thought that was yeah, I thought it was cool with, like
Why?
Knox and yeah, and like the other day we had like Katie Cat, we had like Joel. Like it's insane. Like
Yeah.
some of these people, I'm like, oh my god, these are like, this is no small person.
Yeah.
Like these are some people well known in the community. Like most people in the community know who these people are. So it's kind of cool, to have that space and kind of share, learn about their experiences and kind of like, what got doing what we're doing here, what got them into it and,
Mm-hmm.
what made them, become successful. So it's always really fascinating because everyone's got a different story.
So what's the near future hold for the Lisjustice?
Thanks. Well, I love how you called it Lisjustice. Well, for me, it's mostly kind of really getting into, what being a content creator is about and so like I'm starting like a YouTube channel. I have a YouTube channel now. I'm right now posting shorts, and eventually like I would love to have like a bunch of friends and do like some fun game, tournaments and things like that, fun
Mm-hmm.
little like shows, and just anything in general, just to get creative, and obviously like start making like some merch, like really doing stuff for my viewers, because like they love, they want that. They're like, we want stuff like that. So I'm really trying to make this into a business. And
Mm-hmm.
um one of, well, two of my goals for this year is to hit partnership with Twitch, so that way I can get sponsorships, so that way I can actually start making a more nicer income, a
Mm-hmm.
more livable income than what I am. And there's some big stuff in the works right now. One of them I can't say at this point in time, but eventually I'll be able to tell you guys, and it will be great. But there's some cool stuff happening down the road that I'm really excited about. That's kind of all I have right
Any,
now.
if you could say one thing right now, no matter what it is, what would you say?
What would I say? One thing, if
Yeah.
I had to say,
Yeah, whatever you want
uh,
to say.
be more positive, take care of yourselves, and don't let, people on Twitter tell you what you're doing wrong or right or whatever. Like, do what your heart tells you to do.